Welcome to Finance Revealed. Watch the complete video to discover new market secrets. Subscribe now.
Yeah, so right now, what would you say is Bitcoin's fair market value?
55,000.
And at what rate do you think that's gonna be growing over the next several months?
I can only speak for what it is now based on the current metrics.
So because the question I'm leading to is, to what price would Bitcoin need to spike over the next, say, quarter in Q3 in order to be considered overvalued in need of a correction?
Well, it depends on what the fundamentals look like later in this quarter, but right now to be overvalued, it's got to be in the 70s or $80,000. We're far from that now. If we're at 55,000, we're like barely fair market. So typically in a bull market, you have so much FOMO that you're like 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30% above the fundamental fair market. The later stages of the bull market, you go even 50% above that. And we've not seen any of that this year. So Bitcoin's trading quite cheap, you know, even though it looks expensive, it's trading quite cheap based on the fundamentals.
Right. So people still misunderstand the decentralization claims on projects like Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, I don't know, Binance. They're not decentralized. People are continuously demonizing the liquid sidechain, saying that their validators are federated and they're not decentralized. But your project being built on top of Ethereum, Cardano, Liquid, Binance, your project is totally centralized. So why does it matter whether the underlying is centralized or not? It doesn't matter.
If you have a monetary network like Bitcoin, hell yes, you need maximum decentralization for the love of God and the future of your children. But if you've got a application layer network like Ethereum and Ethereum killers, you only need good enough decentralization for that to work. An open peer-to-peer, roughly decentralized network is better than a database owned by, you know, JP Morgan, right? So there's only certain levels, and so they make the trade-off from between decentralization and scalability, because those two are opposite ends of the coin, and so that's the trade-off that they have. I just do not, for the life of me, think any of these things will ever become an important monetary standard. They may become an important application layer, and their token may rise because of that. But when you look at that, application layers, whatnot, you're really talking about a network that's powering apps, like, and it's not the monetary network. And if you put that in perspective, the monetary network of the global world is $100 trillion. An application layer, you could liken that to, you know, any one of the networks that we have, which are $1 or $2 trillion, you know, whether it's Apple, Facebook, you know, these kind of networks are valued in that regime, which is like 2 orders of magnitude cheaper than the main network in which money swims.
What do you think of that Bitcoin Mining Council and the whole ESG? That's the environmental, social governance cartel that are basically telling businesses and the world what to do and catering to it. What is your view on that, if you have an opinion?
I think the mining council is just a ninja play by Michael Saylor to push back on the propaganda from mainstream media. You just get a cartel of pseudo-respectable miners to publish their data. And so it's kind of a transparency publication initiative. to push back and give something that the media loves. They always need source information to publish, so it just pushes back on the bad propaganda we've had against Bitcoin. And I like that, and I don't agree with the Bitcoiners saying, yeah, this is like a centralized blah blah blah. I think it's just a ninja play to push back on the news cycle.
The mining ban in China, is it good for Bitcoin or bad for Bitcoin? Most people take the side that it's good for Bitcoin because the biggest FUD that the Chinese, the mining was centralized in China is no more FUD. To me, this is bad. Now mining is being centralized in the West, mostly the US, which already has a concentration on coding, which already has a concentration on nodes, and custodian Bitcoins, which is also not good for the ecosystem. Too much Bitcoin held in custodianships. All of that is now dominated by the United States. I don't like that. I actually liked that most mining was in China. It created global diversification. Your thoughts on this?
I'm agreeing with the masses. I mean, Tony, you're the classic
contrarian.
Contrarian. Yeah. It's, well, I think 60% of the hash rate being inside a totalitarian regime, which is subject to the whims of one person, is about as centralized as you can get. So I think that moving outside of the Chinese jurisdiction is massively bullish for Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, the metrics around Bitcoin's decentralization, which we can get into a little bit later, that's about the only thing that matters to me for Bitcoin to be a success, because effectively, Bitcoin, its biggest value proposition is decentralization. If Bitcoin is a new monetary standard, if it's centralized, it's dead. Like gold. The gold standard was centralized and that died. So really, this is the biggest game in town.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But this is the point of debate, right? I feel that Bitcoin was more decentralized when mining was in China. And now I feel that Bitcoin is a little bit less decentralized. That is the debating point.
There's a lot of stranded power in China because of these empty cities they built. But now it's going out to stranded energy spots all around the world. And that doesn't mean it's centralized in the US. It just means that it's going to seek the stranded power in all of the spots where it's available in the world. And that's not in one central location. And America in particular, even Europe, yeah. Those two areas, if you want to call that the West, they are very decentralized areas. Like the United States is very decentralized. Every single state has its own policy and they compete amongst themselves, as does the European Union within their member countries. So yeah, totally different game from China, right?
Crypto YouTubers, crypto day trading, cryptocurrency news today, cryptocurrency jargon, crypto index, cryptocurrency course, is cryptocurrency safe, cryptocurrency index, crypto crash, cryptocurrency